Hi, everyone. Welcome to Authentic Expressions. My name is Mika Klim. So, today's topic is how to set boundaries without feeling like the bad guy. So, be sure to get your questions ready. While you're doing that, I am going to thank Laurel Ridge for sponsoring this program, and I'm going to share with you some of the services they offer. So, Laurel Ridge is a behavioral health program that offers compassionate care for every stage of life. It provides personalized treatment for all populations. Their interest is to help you into your journey of wellness. There are services for children, adolescents, adults, military dependents, active duty service members, veterans, first responders. They offer inpatient services, outpatient services, substance abuse treatment, residential treatment. Call 210-491-3591 for no-cost assessment. Laurel Ridge is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their mission is to save lives, heal families, create hope. All right, welcome. I see some familiar names, familiar faces. So let's talk about how to set boundaries without feeling like the bad guy. So, what are your questions? So, welcome, Dora, Gio, Cheryl, Claudia, Jeff. Great. Nice. I see your questions. Okay, Jeff has a question. How do you go about creating a boundary with somebody that feels like they are never in the wrong to have a boundary set? So they feel like they're never in the wrong. All right. So I see Bridget. So how do you set boundaries with somebody? Okay, who are who think that they're never in the wrong? That is a great question. So in setting boundaries, we often think of other people, but the way I perceive boundary is about yourself. Always think about what you do to help you be more respected. So don't think about changing others, but think about what you need to do. To set a boundary sometimes means that let your silence speak. Your silence is your answer. Let your short responses speak for itself. When person keeps asking you repeatedly, or you keep finding yourself in the same tangle, you are not setting a boundary. You too are violating your own boundary. So it's important to think of boundary setting as not changing the other person, but changing you. Because life is not about changing others. Life is about creating you and learning to respect your time, your finances, your words, um, honoring yourself, honoring your behavior. Let your no be your no. Let you honor yourself. So take out trying to put others first, but put in yourself, your priorities, and your values. So these are the things you want to walk towards when you set boundaries with other people. So, hi, Bridget. So, Claudia, welcome. Claudia's question is, how can I set boundaries in a kind way that doesn't make me feel guilty afterwards? Awesome. Yes, it is very new for people to use, it's very common for people to use guilt to make decisions, to use fear to make decisions, to use anxiety to make decisions. But you want to think about the opposite. Don't just use anxiety and fear. Try to use courage. Try to use your values and your principles to make decisions. So when you keep looking at the guilt, the fear, the anxiety, the shame to make decisions, then you're falling into the same path. So it's important to think about the principles you want to use to help you do decision making. The principle of honoring yourself, the principle of taking care of your values, the principle of honoring your own mission statement. So Many times we want to include other people's mission statement, your parents' mission statement, your children, your partner. All those are good, but your job as a person is to honor yourself and your priority. So when we don't honor ourselves is when our boundaries become compromised. When you compromise your boundaries over and over and over again repeatedly, people know it, and they use the same button to push you and to poke at you. And then they know that, your wound is, guilt, and then they will use that same plot to poke at you. And then you weaken yourself when you keep caving in. So learn to think about what you want to strengthen, not about, how to not make decisions out of guilt. So you want to strengthen honoring yourself. You want to strengthen making decisions based on your truth, your value. You want to strengthen genuineness. So use this to guide your decision making rather than go, I don't want to use guilt. Anytime you put I don't want to do this, you still haven't told me what you want to do. So think about boundaries as, again, moving towards transparency, moving towards being healthy. All right. So Dora has a question. How do you set boundaries with someone who gets defensive? So again, repeatedly, I'm hearing that their defensiveness is how they behave. So then how do you behave? So again, in setting boundaries, it's not about changing other people. They have been defensive. They're going to be defensive today. They're going to be defensive tomorrow. So you already know that that is the given. So how are you going to not fall into that trap and be guilted or be baited? So you have to think, are you working from a child's age or are you working from a mature age, an adult age? So if you know that they're going to give you defensiveness, so change the conversation. You know the outcome. It's like Cinderella story. How many Cinderella novels or stories do you want to read? Because it's the same outcome. So their defensiveness is going to be the same. So what are you going to do to change the conversation so that you protect yourself and that you don't end up with the same ending? So what ending do you want that is about you and your truth? So think about those and then spend more energy building your self-respecting conversations. And also learn to use silence. Silence doesn't mean it's bad. Silence is an answer. Not answering a question is an answer. Like sometimes children will go, oh, do I really have to take a bath tonight? Well, you already know the rules. So you don't have to answer the same question. Learn to walk away. Because to answer that is to disrespect yourself. All right. Brad, Lindsay Miller, welcome. Okay, Lindsay asked, how do you set boundaries with a boss or authority figure that is narrow-minded? I understand how they are, but I do want to work with it. Very good question. And that is quite a common situation. So your boundary with a boss, a supervisor, is very narrow-minded. So in this situation, again, you already know that they're going to come in close-minded, defensive, protective of their ideas. So they're not open to new ideas. So I would also think about, okay, how do I empower them and recognize and respect that? So I would go, sounds like these are your values. So you go in with the buy-in, building rapport. Sounds like these are your values and your values are important. I would go, so this has been what you have been working with for the longest. So tell me more about the importance of sticking to these values. So you want to understand their protectiveness. And many times they may be protective It's because they have been hurt before in the past, when they made a decision, they were hurt, they may have been taken advantage of, or that they may have made major mistakes. And then they feel discouraged. They feel like they don't have the liberty to take a risk. So I would understand their decisions surrounding their narrow mindedness. Sometimes people don't change because they are fearful, because they fear that if I make this change, and they may have made it, and then things fell apart. So you want to go understand the history before you ask people to make changes. Many times when people refuse to change, is surrounding fear. I would go understand the fear, and then I would go, tell me more about that. I want to understand that. Tell me more about your protectiveness. Sounds like this is very important to you. So once you understand that and the person feels heard, they may be more likely to hear you too, because you heard them. You were able to hear them and understand them. So in conversations, again, go in to understand the situation, not to get defensive. Go into not judge, not criticize, but to understand and to break it apart so that you can further understand it more. And when you show empathy, meaning, wow, so sounds like you took a risk, sounds like you did this, sounds like things didn't work out as well. So when you acknowledge their pain, then the person's defensiveness will go down, and that might help them hear you and listen to you and your ideas. So when a person is defensive, I would go in there to build rapport with them, not to tear them down, accuse them, or break, you know, poke into their points. I would be very connected. I would build more time to be empathic, compassionate, and to connect with them. So Carolyn asks, how do you set emotional boundaries with somebody who is a trauma dumper? Great question. Great question. And so my question is, the someone who is a trauma dumper, is it a friend, a colleague, how are they related? How are they in that relationship with you? And if they do it repeatedly, learn to use, if you have to be in their space, I would use a lot of distraction. I would come into that space with different topics to discuss. I would steer the conversation to where I wanted to go. Okay, so that's an old friend back in the day. So I would steer the conversation to where I wanted to go, because once you know a person and they repeatedly dump on you and they think that, since you're a counselor, that you are, all ears. But you also have to remind people that when you are doing when you're in social settings, you're not all ears. You're just there as a person, as a colleague, as a friend. So in that situation, when they keep dumping, I would change the conversation to things that I may appreciate conversing about. I would change the conversation to things that I'm interested in. It could be something about hobbies. It could be something about travel. It could be something about your values, how you build it, how you strengthen it. It could be something about you. So redirect the conversation and change the topic. Because after a while, hopefully they will pick it up. Because you don't want to set yourself up to be used, abused. Your ears are not for, just listening to people's sadness all the time. Even as a counselor, we need to take breaks. We need to respect our time off and celebrate those and fill those time with enriching stories, enriching conversations. Fill time with conversations that replenishes you. So don't think about always depleting yourself. Think about replenishing your plate, your cup, because that's part of our role, is to replenish ourselves so that we can show up as a better person, a better friend, a better spouse, a better parent. So, in situations like that, learn to steer the conversation, redirect it. And every time you redirect it, they will soon pick up. Well, maybe you're not, really interested in being dumped upon. And then if you're being dumped upon repeatedly, say, oh, here we go again. So sometimes use a humorous approach might steer them and they may get the point. All right, let's hear other questions. These are great questions. So I like what you've asked. So let's talk about what other questions related to setting boundaries that appreciates you, that values you. So setting boundaries is not about bad things, horrible things, guilty things. So how can you set boundaries that grow you, that strengthen your bone, your strengthen your authentic muscle? So think about all those. So let's have other questions. Yes, Garland says, I believe boundaries can protect you more than putting up a wall. Yes, it protects us, but think about how you want your boundaries to protect you. So boundaries that are healthy helps you set structure to your time. It protects your time, it protects your finances, and it protects your integrity. So think about all those. All right, you have asked some good questions. What might be other questions that you may have surrounding setting positive boundaries? So let's talk about that. What might be other questions? Okay. So the C, is that Christine Rodriguez, 99? While waiting for your question. Okay, see. All right, there's a question here. Yes, Christine, welcome back. So Christine has a question. She says, is there such a thing of too many boundaries that you put up a wall around your loved ones? Yes. Yes. What is the difference between a boundary, a wall, a fortress? Okay. So I want you to think about boundaries with a different framework. So boundaries is not about for other people. Boundaries is for yourself. Boundaries is to protect you, your wellness. It protects your soul, your well-being. So when are there too many boundaries? Could there be too many boundaries? So when you nurture yourself, you have boundaries. It's like a person walking around without skin. A person, it gets infected easily. It's like when there's a cut, there's a big wound, you don't protect it, it's going to be infected. And when it gets infected, it infects your whole system. So I'm going to let you think about that. So are there too many boundaries? So are your boundaries to set up to respect you, to nurture you, your soul, to honor you, to help you be a better version of you? If those are the things you set, then those are healthy boundaries. So think, how do you keep respecting yourself? That's your boundary. Rather than make decisions, okay, I don't want to be seduced by this. So think about, how do you want to respect yourself? So think of boundaries from a different angle, not just about giving away your power, depleting your power. It's about enriching your power and spending more time, energy, building it up, replenishing it, respecting it, because your integrity, your wellness is your priority. Many times we complain, oh, my mother does this. She's constantly asking, oh, my friend does this. Well, you may be complaining about them, but the important thing is, I too am part of the problem because I keep allowing other people to use me. So then don't complain about them, but complain about how you need to protect your walls, set boundaries that is about helping you be a healthier version, helping you to shine, helping you to build stronger respect for you, build greater integrity. So again, your words on the lack of is an answer. So you don't always have to answer people with verbal cues, with verbal responses. Sometimes, again, like I said, not answering a question treat, helps helps people to respect you more. Okay. How about boundaries with families? Great question, Lindsay. Boundaries with family, specific to what time? Specific to um, money, or specific to violations where they keep asking you to do things, they keep depending on you to cover them, protect them, do for them. So one of the things you can think about in boundary setting is, especially when it's family members, sometimes it's very sticky. So you may want to announce it by saying, I'll do it one time, but after that, you get to do it yourself. Same thing with children. You know, I'm going to call in for you. I'm going to bring in lunch, because you forgot your lunch. I'm going to bring it to you today. But from here on out, if you don't remember to take your lunch to school, you have to figure it out. So sometimes you can set healthy boundaries by doing a compromise, by willing to do it one time. So then people know. And if they come back the second, third time to ask you to help them again, I would say, the answer was, what do you remember from the last answer? So don't always succumb. You answer your question also with a question. What was my answer the last time we had this situation? And then once they give you the correct answer, walk away. Again, your legs are for respecting yourself. Learn to walk away. So Carolyn goes, what do you do when your boundaries are crossed and it is primarily a family member? Yes, family members know where our wounds are and they use that to their advantage. So it is also important that you know where your wounds are, you allow people to manipulate you. What are some cue words, some keywords they use? Then they know that if I use this word, the person will always cave in. So you want to work on yourself. Don't try to figure out and do a defensive posture. If they ask this, I'm going to say this. If they do this, I'm going to do that. A lot of time is wasted if they do this, if they do that, if they say this. So the best thing to do is to think about what are some words that people use that keep, getting you to cave in. I would look at those and look at what those emotions are surrounding those words. So it could be you cave in when people use guilt on you, when people belittle you. So then you have to look back into where you started in your early journey, that you allow people to guilt you, belittle you. Could it be your parent that guilted you and then you cave in because it was your mother or because it was your father or a best friend? So you have to think back about of how these guilty feelings kept showing up in your life. So the goal is always to go back to the roots to see how this showed up and address it rather than sweep it under the carpet or mask it. Because if you keep masking it, it will keep showing up at some later point. All right. Thank you for the comment, Christine. Appreciate you too. Great question. All right, Joe asks, Jill, our wellness is a priority. How do you begin to put that first to protect yourself, a stronger respect for yourself in a practical way? Again, I'm going to use that same concept. Respecting yourself means sometimes not answering the question, walking away, because those are answers in and of itself. Because many times when you engage in a conversation, you go into a debate, 2 hours later, you're still in the debate and nobody is hearing each other. That is very disrespectful. First to yourself, because you just wasted 2 hours of your time. So it's important to think, to respect myself, I will learn to walk away from no-win conversations. I will learn to walk away from people who do not hear me. If you keep entering into those conversations and you blame them, well, you are part of the problem. So learn to take responsibility of the role you play in promoting those problems, in keeping those problems going. Respecting yourself is learning to speak the truth. And like I said last week, if you want to speak the truth and you don't know how to go about saying it, write it down. Let somebody read it. Write it down short, sweet, simple. Don't write paragraphs. People do not hear it when it's written in paragraph form. If you have anything you want to say, always say in the first two statements. Stop it, pause it. And then if you're working with another adult, it's like, well, just wanted to confirm. What did you hear me say? So then if they heard you, but they choose not to do it, it's because, there's some emotions that's driving them as well. So you want to understand those. So think about setting boundaries to protect you, to value you, and then learn to use less words, because your silence speaks louder. Your silence, your actions of walking away speaks volumes, rather than spending an hour, 2 hours debating the person, because they know that when they get you into a good heated debate, that's when they can get you and that they can get you to cave in. So always learn to let silence be your answer. Let your legs to walk away be your answer. So it's always about respecting you, because those are the first boundaries we need to set. Think about what you want, what principles you want to work with, and build upon that. Okay, Jage says, short, sweet, to the point. No is a complete sentence. Yes, no is a complete sentence. Correct. Yes. All right. Any other questions? Our time is almost up. And so I am going to read you these reminders. Let go of suppressing your thoughts. Learn to express your thoughts. Let go of inflicting self-criticism or self-condemnation when you make decisions. Learn to honor your decisions. Follow through, because that's respecting yourself. Learn to say yes to yourself. Yeah, yes, I need to do this and I'm going to follow through with this. Yes and yes. Don't say yes to yourself and then your actions don't follow through. Let go of the need to seek acceptance from others. Let go of the need to seek approval. So let your answers be important enough to surround supporting your values, your internal values, and also in supporting your nurturing your soul. So I am going to close with two closing quotes. So Gandhi says, be the change you wish to see in the world. So don't complain about other people. Be the change you wish to see. By Gandhi. So this next quote is by Carl Jung. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. So that's your privilege, is to be you and build upon that. So It is your job to build a strong version, to be a healthy version, to be a compassionate version to yourself, not just to other people. So take time to always build you up. So I am going to share with you our topic next week is finding yourself after years of people pleasing. So we're all guilty of that at some point or another. Finding yourself after years of people pleasing. So come prepared with your questions. Thank you for your thoughtful questions. Those are very thought provoking. I love those questions. So I'm going to close with the Laurel Ridge services. As again, this program is sponsored by Laurel Ridge. So it provides personalized treatment for all populations. They're interested to help you into your journey of wellness. There's services for children, adolescents, adults, military dependents, active duty members, veterans, and first responders. Be sure to call 210-491-3591 for no-cost assessment. Laurel Ridge is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Thank you, and continue to think about ways to strengthen your integrity, your wellness, and your respect. So I hope that you will have an amazing weekend and to keep building respect and let your silence be your answer. Have a great evening.